There's a reason the most dangerous transformations don't begin with chaos, but with silence. Scorpio, the rest of 2025 isn't going to knock on your door. It's going to tear it off its hinges. What's coming isn't just a shift, it's a soul reckoning. And the way you walk through it will decide what version of you enters 2026. This isn't just a reading. It's a coded transmission from spirit, crafted in signs, shadows, and symbols. So sit down, close the past, and open what's been waiting for you all along. Because everything you've been through was only the prologue. Scorpio, this is where your real story begins. Part 1, The Invitation. When the universe whispers to Scorpio in the final hours of 2025, in the final stretch of a year that tasted like salt and fire, Scorpio stands alone, again. But this time, it's different. You can feel it in your skin, can't you? Something ancient stirring in the bones. Something watching. Not with menace, but with meaning. There are years when you survive. There are years when you rebuild. And then there are years, rare, mythical years, when the universe stops what it's doing and turns to face you. This is one of them. They won't talk about it on the news. You won't see it in anyone's eyes. But you'll feel it in the places no one else can see. In the spaces between your thoughts. In the ache behind your resilience. In the way silence feels louder than ever. Scorpio, 2025 has been writing your name in places you haven't looked yet. Not on resumes. Not in journals. Not even in the secrets you never said out loud. But in the stars. In the soil. In the karma that circles you like a shadow with purpose. You didn't just survive this year. You crossed something invisible. And now the universe is whispering. Are you ready to meet the version of yourself you thought you'd never become? Because Scorpio, this isn't just a forecast. This is your invitation. You see, most people experience life like a straight line. But not you. You spiral. You burn. You shed. You come back from things no one else could walk through. You don't evolve, you resurrect. And now, as the final months of 2025 unfold, you're being asked to do it again, not out of pain, but out of preparation. This is not a warning. This is a summons. There are energies converging around you, and they are not random. You felt the shift. Dreams that don't make sense. Memories surfacing like ghosts trying to be remembered. A weight that doesn't feel like yours. But it is. Because it's ancestral. Because it's written in your bloodline. Because Scorpio carries what others bury. And then, there's the number. Maybe it came to you in a phone code. Or in the seconds on a microwave. Or in the most mundane place. But it jolted you like prophecy. 1 to 2, 3 to 4. Not just numbers, but steps. Steps in a staircase only you can climb. Not toward success, but toward truth. Scorpio, the universe says, it's time to stop hiding in your own shadow and start walking into the light you earned, the one you bled for. This is your first message from beyond the veil. What's coming isn't chaos. It's calibration. A great alignment is taking shape, and you are the axis around which it turns. But there's a catch. There always is with Scorpio, isn't there? You don't get to receive what's yours unless you surrender what no longer is. And the universe won't wait for your fear to get comfortable. It's time to choose. Keep living like the old version of yourself that pain created, or step into the new archetype that power has been sculpting in silence. Because this is the paradox of being Scorpio. You are the grave and the garden, the ending and the embryo, the one who walks through the fire, not to be cleansed, but to become it. And as we begin this journey, yes, a spiritual decoding of what the rest of 2025 holds, you must know, this isn't just a reading, it's a reckoning. One written in the language of symbols, synchronicities, shadows, and the stardust you forgot you're made of. So sit with me, not as a viewer, but as the soul who knows, deep down, that you didn't come this far just to survive. You came to rise. TOB continued Part 2, The Staircase of 1234, When Numbers Become Destiny. Part 2, The Staircase of 1234, When Numbers Become Destiny. Not all messages from the universe come in lightning bolts. Some arrive quietly, in numbers, repeatedly, until your soul finally recognizes the code it forgot it wrote. 1-2-3-4. It's not just an angel number. It's the soul sequence of Scorpio's next evolution. At first glance, it's simple, a gentle count. But simplicity is the disguise spirit uses when speaking to the initiated. 1. The beginning. A breath. A whisper. The first crack of light after a long, private darkness. 2. Duality. Choice. A mirror held up to the soul. A test. Will you return to what's familiar or reach for what is sacred but unknown? 3. Creation. The merging of self and higher guidance. The birth of a new internal landscape. 4. Foundation. The final anchoring of intention into reality. Earth. Matter. Form. This is not random. The number 1234 has been following you, Scorpio, because you are in a sequence of spiritual activation, and the staircase is already beneath your feet. But here's the secret most overlook. You don't ascend the staircase by climbing. You ascend it by surrendering at each step. And this year, this closing chapter of 2025, is the test of whether you are ready to live in divine order, not emotional chaos. Have you noticed? When you stray from alignment, the noise gets louder. But when you're on the right path, even if it's terrifying, things begin to click. Synchronicities happen. People call you at the right moment. Opportunities unfold with quiet precision. That's 1234 working in the background, a sacred algorithm echoing through your choices. But here's what most won't tell you. The number 1234 is not just about progress. It's about faithful progress. Scorpio, you are being asked to trust steps you can't see, to walk forward even when you're still healing from the last fall, to show up, not as someone who's ready, but as someone who's devoted. Because this staircase, it's not leading you to achievement. It's leading you to alignment. Do you have a vision for yourself, Scorpio? Do you have a soul plan, not just a checklist? Because 1234 won't work unless you're clear about what you're co-creating with the divine. You can't just manifest from the wound. You must create from the wisdom of the wound. Let's go deeper. This sequence is showing up now because 2025 is closing with karmic mathematics. Everything that has felt delayed, tangled, or out of reach is starting to reconfigure. And Scorpio, you're being watched, not in paranoia, but in precision. The universe is measuring your intention. It's observing how you show up even when nothing's guaranteed. And it's waiting to match your faith with form. That's what 1234 means. Not hope, but holy discipline. Not motivation, but mystic commitment. And here's what no one talks about. Each step in this code corresponds to a sacrifice. Step 1. Let go of the version of you that survived through silence. Step 2. Release the connections that only fed your loneliness, not your soul. Step 3. Forgive yourself for mistaking trauma for destiny. Step 4. Build a new identity rooted in truth, not perception. That's the staircase. You don't get to skip steps. And now, Scorpio, ask yourself, where are you hesitating? Which step are you avoiding because it requires too much of your shadow? Have you made peace with the fact that some doors were locked because they were never meant to hold your power? You see, 1234 doesn't just count forward. It counts you in, like a rhythm, like a beat before transformation begins, like a call for the soul to show up completely. So now that you've heard it, now that the numbers won't stop appearing, what will you do with it? Because if you dare to walk the staircase, slowly, intentionally, naked in truth, the universe isn't just waiting to meet you at the top. It's waiting to become you through the climb. TOB continued Part 3. Earth Mother's Whisper. The power Scorpio has been avoiding. Part 3. Earth Mother's Whisper. The power Scorpio has been avoiding. The numbers led you here. But now the whispers begin. They don't come in thunder. They don't arrive like battle cries. They arrive like breath. And in that breath, she speaks. Earth Mother. She's not just a card. She's not just a concept. She is an ancient force, one that Scorpio often forgets they belong to. Because for a sign born of death, power, and transformation, there's always been one truth too uncomfortable to hold. Healing requires softness, and softness requires surrender. You see, Scorpio is the master of control, of edge, of sharpness, of strategy. But Earth Mother doesn't speak that language. She speaks nurture. She speaks roots. She speaks in the language of stillness, soil, and sacred slowness. And for many Scorpios, that's terrifying. Because when you've lived most of your life being the one no one understood, when your love has been mistaken for obsession, when your depth has been labeled too much, you build armor. You sharpen your gaze. You tighten your grip. You love in silence. You heal alone. And slowly, unknowingly, you drift away from the one force that could have made it easier, receptivity. But now, in the closing arc of 2025, Earth Mother comes back, not to punish, but to invite. Come back to me, she says, not as the warrior, but as the child. Because Scorpio, as powerful as you are in war, you are even more powerful in peace. You just forgot. You forgot how to be held, how to be supported, how to be fed by something greater than yourself, by life itself. Earth Mother is not asking you to become soft. She's asking you to balance your storm with soil. Right now, something in your life is shifting. Not the outer things, not money, not titles, but the root system of your soul. Maybe you've been sensing it. A pull toward silence, a desire to disconnect from the chaos, a longing for simplicity, not to escape, but to return. That's Earth Mother calling you back to center. Because in this final stretch of the year, you don't need more battles. You need grounding. You need restoration. You need to remember, you're not here to survive the universe. You're here to belong to it. She reminds you of something you've ignored. There is something, right now, that requires your attention. Something that, if you tend to it, will grow. And if you neglect it, will fester. This could be your physical body, a strained relationship, your neglected art, the garden of your soul. Whatever it is, you already know what it is. And Earth Mother is saying, stop waiting for the perfect moment. Tend to it, now, while it still wants to be saved. And here lies the paradox again, a truth only Scorpio can hold. The same hands you once used to destroy are now the hands you must use to nurture. You're not being asked to become someone else. You're being asked to return to the part of you that never left, only hid. That inner child, that intuitive healer, that version of you that still knows how to laugh with the moon and listen to the wind. Because healing isn't a destination. It's not a fix. It's a rhythm. And right now, Earth Mother is offering you the beat. Will you dance with her? Let's make it real. Write this down. Let it become your soul affirmation for the rest of 2025. I take the soul-led steps I need to take in order to heal and grow. Again, I take the soul-led steps I need to take in order to heal and grow. Say it when you rise. Say it when you want to give up. Say it when you can't hear anything else. Because sometimes, the only way through the fire is through the earth. TOB continued Part 4, 9 of Swords. The battle Scorpio fought in silence. Part 4, 9 of Swords. The battle Scorpio fought in silence. Not all wars are loud. Some happen behind closed doors. Some echo in the chambers of the mind. Some leave no scars on the body, only on the soul. And Scorpio knows this all too well. Because behind that penetrating gaze, behind the power, the poise, the near psychic awareness, lies a battlefield, one no one else ever sees. Enter the 9 of Swords. This card isn't just about worry. It's about spiritual insomnia. It's the restless energy of a soul carrying truths that never had a safe place to be spoken. You felt this, Scorpio. The nights where the silence is too loud. The moments where the memory of something unfinished chokes your breath. The weight you carry, that doesn't belong entirely to you. But you carry it anyway. Because that's what Scorpios do. You become the vault. For your own pain. For the pain of others. For the generational curses no one else was brave enough to confront. But here's what no one sees. Scorpio doesn't fear darkness. They fear drowning in it alone. The 9 of Swords is not weakness. It's a message, a mirror, a whisper that says, this cannot stay buried any longer. Because here's the truth. You've learned to intellectualize your pain, to spiritualize your trauma, to romanticize your solitude. But pain unprocessed doesn't become power. It becomes poison. And Scorpio, you've carried enough venom. Let's stop here. Right now, breathe with me. Inhale, exhale, feel what you've been hiding from. That conversation you avoid. That version of you judge. That night that still haunts you. That what if that chases you in your dreams. This is where the 9 of Swords lives. In the unsaid, in the unforgiven, in the unloved corners of your own mind. But guess what? That sword in your back? It's yours. And you're the only one who can pull it out. Not in pain, but in power. Here's what this card is truly saying. You're not broken. You're processing. You're healing. And yes, it's ugly sometimes. Scorpio's healing doesn't come in candles and crystals. It comes in blood and breath. In shadow work. In nights where the only prayer is, please make it stop. But here's the beauty. The same mind that became your battlefield can become your sanctuary. You just have to stop fighting yourself. And this is the test. Not whether you can keep going, but whether you can finally put the swords down. You've proven your strength. Now prove your softness. You've learned to guard your pain. Now learn to let someone in. Because Scorpio, you don't have to do this part alone. The universe didn't bring you this far just to watch you collapse at the edge of transformation. No, it brought you here to show you that even your shadows are worthy of light. Let's do something different tonight. Don't fight the thoughts. Write them. Don't silence the pain. Sit with it. Then ask yourself, what story am I still telling myself that's keeping me in this loop? And then choose not to fix it all, but to witness yourself fully, without judgment, without escape. Because the Nine of Swords is not here to torment you. It's here to wake you to your own inner alchemist, the one who turns anguish into awareness and darkness into direction. To be continued Part 5, Two of Cups, the sacred mirror Scorpio wasn't expecting. Part 5, Two of Cups, the sacred mirror Scorpio wasn't expecting. After the battle, after the silence, after the long nights with only your breath and your thoughts as company, something shifts. It doesn't come crashing in. It doesn't announce itself. It simply arrives. Quiet, strong, unmistakable. And in that moment, Scorpio meets a mirror. But not the kind that shows your face. Not the kind that reflects your appearance. This one reflects your essence. The Two of Cups. It's not just romance. It's not just attraction. It's recognition. A soul across from you. Not completing you, but revealing you. Someone whose presence rearranges the dust inside your soul. And suddenly, you remember what love was supposed to feel like before trauma redefined it. But here's the thing. Scorpio wasn't expecting this. Not now. Not after everything. Not while still patching the wounds no one else could see. And yet, here it is. A connection. A resonance. A frequency that speaks not to your body, but to your being. You don't know whether to trust it, to run from it, to interrogate it, or to finally, maybe, let it in. Because when Scorpio loves, it is not half-hearted. You give all, or nothing. And that's what makes this so dangerous and so sacred. The Two of Cups is not always soft. Sometimes it comes as a karmic mirror, a soul who triggers the very parts of you thought were healed. Someone who doesn't flatter your ego, but awakens your shadow. And still, it's divine, because in that connection, you are given a chance to love without losing yourself, to be seen without shape-shifting, to be held, not for your potential, but for your presence. Maybe this is someone new. Maybe it's someone returning. Maybe it's a friend, a guide, a soulmate in disguise. Or maybe it's your own reflection, finally meeting itself with gentleness. Whatever form it takes, the Two of Cups comes with one question. Can you stand to be truly seen? Because that's what this energy does. It doesn't just romance you. It undoes you beautifully. It breaks the walls you didn't know you still had. And for Scorpio, who is so used to power dynamics, emotional control, and intuitive dominance, this is vulnerability in its highest form. But let's not romanticize it. True connection will challenge you. This person, or presence, may not be perfect. They may test your patience. They may walk beside you in silence for days. But the energy doesn't lie. The bond is real, and it's here to help you remember who you are when you are not surviving. So now, Scorpio, ask yourself, when was the last time you looked into someone's eyes and felt safe? When was the last time someone saw your pain and didn't try to fix it, just held space for it? When was the last time you allowed love and without armor? Because the Two of Cups is here, and whether it brings joy, heartbreak, or both, it is a divine appointment. It is your mirror. It is the soul's way of saying, you are ready, not just to be loved, but to love back without fear. To be continued Part 6, Six of Cups, the echo of something you thought was gone. Part 6, Six of Cups, the echo of something you thought was gone. Sometimes, what haunts us isn't what hurt us. It's what once made us feel whole, but disappeared before we could understand why. And then one day, quietly, like a breath behind you, it returns. The Six of Cups. On the surface, it looks like nostalgia, sweetness, innocence, a child giving a flower to another. But beneath that gentle energy is a resonant power Scorpio knows all too well. The past never leaves quietly. You've been walking forward, healing, shedding, evolving. And yet this card rises now, not to pull you back, but to close a loop you didn't know was still open. It may arrive as a memory, a scent, a dream, a random song that feels like a time machine, or even a person, someone you never expected to see again. But this is not coincidence. This is divine echo. Because Scorpio's soul doesn't forget. And the universe, in its infinite precision, knows when you're ready to confront not just the pain of the past, but the beauty that never got to finish its sentence. Let's go deeper. The Six of Cups is here because something in your current life is being mirrored by something in your past. A wound that started in childhood is being re-triggered. A dream you gave up on is resurfacing. A relationship pattern you thought you'd outgrown is knocking again. And instead of running or romanticizing, you are being asked to see it clearly. To ask, what is this really showing me about my soul? Because Scorpio, the past doesn't return to chain you. It returns to complete its lesson. Maybe there was someone who loved you, but couldn't stay. Maybe there was a version of you that was softer, wilder, freer, before survival became a daily ritual. Maybe there's a part of your heart that you locked away to protect it, and now it's knocking from the inside. This card is a whisper from that place. It says, you didn't imagine it. That love was real. That joy was true. But now you must integrate it. Not by clinging, not by chasing, but by honoring what it gave you and releasing what it no longer is. Scorpio, your gift is remembrance. You remember what others forget. You carry the emotional DNA of lifetimes. And that's why this moment is sacred. Because when the past returns, you don't just feel it, you relive it. But now you are no longer a prisoner to it. You are its witness. So what do you do when the past shows up in the present? You sit with it. You thank it. You ask it what it needs. And then you decide, does this belong in my future? Or was it only meant to teach me how to love myself better? This is where the power of the Six of Cups lies. Not in bringing someone back, but in bringing you back to the truth of your own heart. Scorpio, you don't need to go back. You need to remember forward. Because you're not who you were when that memory was created. But the essence of that joy, that connection, that magic, it still lives in you. And now, it's ready to bloom again. Not in repetition, but in rebirth. To be continued Part 7. When the wish arrives and you're afraid to receive it. Part 7. When the wish arrives and you're afraid to receive it. There's a strange kind of fear, Scorpio. It doesn't come from trauma. It doesn't come from loss. It comes from arrival. When the thing you begged for finally shows up, and your first instinct is to question it. You know this feeling. You prayed for peace. Now silence makes you nervous. You longed for love, but when it knocks, your hand trembles at the doorknob. You visualized freedom, and now that it's here, your mind starts rehearsing reasons why you don't deserve it. This is the paradox of the wish come true. And for Scorpio, a sign forged through struggle, forged through endurance, joy can feel suspicious. You've spent so long surviving, Scorpio, that thriving feels like a trick. It's not that you're ungrateful. It's that you're wired to wait for the backlash. Because every time something good entered your life in the past, something else came to take it away, right? Or so it seemed. And so now, even when what you asked for finally arrives, your heart whispers, is this real? Do I deserve this? What will it cost me this time? But here's the truth the universe is trying to teach you. Not everything beautiful is temporary. Not every gift is a test. And not every blessing comes with a hidden clause. You've done the work. You've shed the skin. You've walked through the fire, not once, but over and over. So now, receive. Not as someone lucky, but as someone aligned. Let's say it clearly. This wish, whatever form it's taking in your life, is not a fluke. It is the result of your inner evolution. A job, a relationship, a sense of inner peace, a new path, a new version of you. It's here because you finally became the version of yourself that could hold it. But here's the real challenge. Can you allow joy to stay long enough to bloom? Or will you subconsciously sabotage it, just to protect yourself from the possibility of loss? Let me tell you something about Scorpio energy. You are not cursed. You are cautious, because you've loved deeply, lost quietly, and risen silently, while no one was watching. But now, the light is watching. It's entering your world in the form of dreams fulfilled, desires unlocked, and soul-level alignments. And you must decide, do I meet this moment with the version of me that prayed for it? Or with the version that was still afraid to receive it? Here's your spiritual assignment. Stop looking for what's wrong. Start looking at what's right. Stop rehearsing disaster. Start embodying delight. Because Scorpio, if you don't learn how to hold happiness, you'll keep attracting pain simply because it's familiar. Let joy be your new spiritual practice. Even if it feels awkward. Even if you're not sure you trust it yet. Even if you cry the first time you laugh out loud again. Let it in. Let it stay. This is what the universe has been preparing you for all year. Not just to survive the storm, but to finally enjoy the calm that follows. To be continued Part 8. When Scorpio rebuilds in the dark, the power they don't brag about. Part 8. When Scorpio rebuilds in the dark, the power they don't brag about. Scorpio doesn't announce their comeback. They don't broadcast their healing. They don't post their battles for applause. Instead, they vanish. But not in weakness, in strategy. Because Scorpio knows that the most sacred transformations happen off stage. When other signs are documenting the glow up, Scorpio is deep underground, not glowing up, but burning down everything false. They tear it apart. They face the wound. They die a little. And then they build. But here's the thing no one understands. Scorpio's greatest power doesn't come from revenge or recognition. It comes from quiet reconstruction, the kind done in silence, in solitude, in the middle of the night when no one is cheering. And that's exactly how Scorpio wants it. Because let's be honest, Scorpio doesn't need witnesses. They don't need validation. They don't even need hope. What they need is a reason. And once they find it, there's no force on earth, in heaven, or in hell that can stop them from becoming who they were always meant to be. This part of the journey, the rebuild, is sacred. It's not glamorous. It's not fun. But it's where the real power is forged. It's where Scorpio rewrites the narrative, reinvents their identity, reconstructs their reality from the ruins. And all the while, no one knows what's happening. Because Scorpio is a storm behind a still sky, people think Scorpio is mysterious for the sake of it. But here's the truth. Silence is Scorpio's sanctuary. That's where they meet themselves again. That's where they call their power back. That's where the world stops lying and the soul starts speaking. And when they emerge, it's never a return. It's a revelation. Not, I'm back, but I've become what I was afraid to admit I could be. So if you're in the dark right now, Scorpio, if you're building quietly, if no one sees the effort, the tears, the courage it takes to keep going, good. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Because growth that isn't visible is often the most permanent. This is where your next identity is taking shape. Not the one they expect, not the one they remember, but the one that will no longer need explanation. And when you walk back into the world, Scorpio, not everyone will understand the silence you came from. Not everyone will recognize your light. But that's not your job. Your job is to shine anyway, not to prove anything, but because the dark taught you how. To be continued Part 9. Groundhog Spirit. When letting go is the most spiritual act. Part 9. Groundhog Spirit. When letting go is the most spiritual act. There comes a moment in every Scorpio's journey when holding on becomes heavier than letting go. And not because the thing you're clinging to is bad, but because it's over, and your soul knows it. Even if your heart still argues, even if your mind still builds reasons to stay, that's when Groundhog Spirit appears. Not as a warning, not as a threat, but as a divine invitation to surrender. It's time, it whispers. The season has changed. You cannot stay here anymore. You've seen the signs, the silence that doesn't comfort anymore. The person whose energy now feels like weight, not warmth. The identity that used to fit like skin, but now feels like a costume. You feel it in your bones. This chapter is done. But Scorpio, you're loyal to a fault. You don't leave easily. You don't detach on impulse. When you love, you go deep. When you commit, it's soul level. When you build, it's from your blood. And that's what makes this moment so hard. Because letting go for Scorpio feels like dying. But here's the truth. Not every death is an ending. Some deaths are doorways. And the pain you feel in letting go, it's not just loss. It's space being created for what's next. Because the universe can't give you what's coming, while your hands are still full of what's gone. Let me ask you this. What are you still holding on to? Out of guilt, fear, or nostalgia? What are you afraid to admit has run its course? Who are you becoming that your past cannot follow? Because Scorpio, your transformation isn't complete until you shed what no longer serves you. Yes, it will ache. Yes, you'll miss pieces of it. Yes, a part of you might even wish you could rewind. But remember, Scorpio is not the sign of holding on. It's the sign of rising again. Groundhog Spirit brings a sacred truth. Endings are not punishments. They're portals. Every goodbye you fear is clearing the path for a reunion you didn't know your soul had scheduled. And no, you don't have to understand it now. You just have to trust it. You just have to release what's expired. With love, not resentment. with gratitude, not guilt, with faith that what's meant for you is already on the way. So today, Scorpio, make this vow. I release what no longer reflects my becoming. I trust the sacred space between endings and arrivals. Because letting go isn't weak. It's prophetic. It means you finally understand. You're not who you were when you first held it. And you're not meant to be who you'll become if you never release it. TOB continued Part 10, Final Transmission, the soul message that changes everything. Part 10, Final Transmission, the soul message that changes everything. You made it, Scorpio, not just through this reading, but through the storm, through the silence, through the death and the rebuilding. You didn't just survive 2025, you transmuted it. But there's one more message, one final download, the whisper behind all the other whispers. A voice not from above, but from within, and it says, life isn't a sprint, it's a long race, and you're not in it just to win it. Let that sink in, because this isn't about achievement. This isn't about proving anyone wrong. This isn't about proving yourself right. This is about embodiment, about becoming the most honest, healed, and whole version of yourself. Not for applause, but for alignment. Scorpio, your journey this year was never about fixing yourself. It was about remembering who you were before the world told you to break. You were never too intense, too emotional, too much. You were just ahead of your time. And now that time has caught up to you. Now, the world is finally ready to see you. Not in fragments, but in your full form. So here is your final spiritual reminder. You are not starting over. You are starting from wisdom. Every heartbreak taught you discernment. Every silence taught you strength. Every loss cleared the space for your next arrival. Nothing was wasted. Not the delay, not the detour, not even the despair. It all sculpted you into a soul who no longer begs the universe to be seen, but walks as if they are the universe itself. So what now? Now you show up. In your life. In your path. In your truth. Not with perfection, but with presence. Now, you love again, but this time with boundaries. You dream again, but this time with structure. You rise again, but this time not to escape your pain, but to honor your power. Scorpio, you are not being guided toward a finish line. You are being guided toward a new frequency, a life that doesn't just look good, but feels sacred, one built not on survival, but on soul, and that changes everything. So when doubt creeps in, when fear tries to claw back in, when the old world tries to seduce you back into smaller forms, remember this. You didn't come this far to shrink. You came this far to shine, to transform, to awaken, to lead, to love, and most of all, to live. The end. This has been your soul message, Scorpio, for the rest of 2025 and the beginning of everything beyond. Call to action, engage, comment, and subscribe. If this message resonated with your soul, Scorpio, don't let it be just another video you watched and forgot. Tell us in the comments. What part of this journey hit you the hardest? What are you letting go of? And what new version of yourself are you calling in? Let this space be more than a video. Let it be a mirror, a portal, a community. And if you felt seen today, subscribe to the path to Buddha wisdom. Because this is just the beginning. Your soul has much more to remember, and we'll be right here, walking the path beside you. Until next time, keep rising, keep shedding, and above all, Scorpio, keep remembering who you are.